for computer animation, and what we are going to do in this newest assignment is create a transformation of some kind of creature or thing or object, whatever comes to your creative minds, to create a transformation using shape tweens. So here you can see what I have is 4 different layers of different objects being shape tweened between day and night. So daytime I have a human character, and at nighttime transforming into a werewolf using shape tweening. So if I was to get started on my own, fresh one, we will start with fresh document. The first layer, what we will start with is making the moon into the sun. So I'll call this first layer moon, sun, something to that effect. And so what we'll start with is by creating the moon shape by taking one circle. We'll make this moon light blue. Works. That should be good. And we'll fill that light blue. And I'll create the moon shape by actually creating another overlapping circle and then deleting the second one, although I will need to make this a separate color. So separate color, another circle shape, and when you delete this shape now that overlaps, it will leave you with the moon shape here. So what I'll then do is go ahead to frame 15. I'll add in a couple new keyframes, 2 to be exact. Actually, what I will do is go ahead and back up just a couple steps. On this new keyframe here, actually, what I'd like to have happen is I'm going to create a whole new shape over here, and this will be the sun, because that is what my first transformation is going to be. So what we can do is take this circle and have it transform into this shape over here. So what we're going to do is go ahead and make this a yellow. That should work pretty good. Alright, so now if we were to add a tween in there, create shape tween, this should make my moon transforming into a sun. So remember, if you also want to add in a shape tween, where you will find it is when you select your shape, and you will find tween down in your properties bar, right? That is where we'll find shape tweening. Remember, your shape should be a raw shape. It should not be a symbol or graphic. Okay. So here we will actually add another keyframe to keep that frame there, and then go to frame 30. And what we'll do is we'll take that first moon frame, we'll right click, we'll copy frames, go to this last frame, and we'll paste this frame here. Okay. And what we could do is then create another shape tween, and now we have both going on. So we have, if we were to preview that, we have the moon transforming into the sun and then back into the moon. Okay, so that being done, we'll create another layer, and this is going to be our background. So we'll call this background, and we'll take that layer and pull it down underneath the moon so it is truly in the back. Take your rectangle tool, and maybe for the nighttime we want the sky to be a dark bluish color. So I'm going to draw a rectangle around my stage and scroll down a bit to make sure that it's big enough. I need to make it a little bit bigger by using my transform tool to stretch that to make sure it covers the whole stage. Okay, so the other thing you can do with a shape tween that we have noticed before when we did the card flip is that you can make a shape change colors as well with a shape tween. So what we'll do on the 15th frame again is we'll press F6, and now here, since it's daytime, we want this color to be lighter. So I'm going to just click over on my slider color bar over on the side and turn this into a light blue. Now if I were to add a shape tween in between these two, it should go ahead and do it the way you guys have it on your computer here, is just take this shape, and instead of changing any shapes, it's just changing the color. So shape tweens are really good for kind of like fade in, fade out type things as well in your animations. So what I'm going to do here then is again create another keyframe by pressing F6, and then I'm going to go to this first frame, right click, copy frames, and then paste this frame on the last frame there, about 30. And then I can create another shape tween, which will then make that go back to night. So now I have, if I were to save, oh, always a good idea to save every once in a while. Forgot I had not yet. I'll call this day night for now. I'll call this day night 2 because I already had a day night 1. So day night 2. And so for the preview, this is what we have is night transform into day and back to night again. So continuing onwards, we will add another layer in. This layer is going to be the ground layer. So this is going to be just one step in front of the foreground, or one step in front of the background. This will be kind of like the foreground, the grass, and kind of like a tree line at the bottom. Now this, depending on what is actually in your animation, you may want to put more like a city line. It could be a landscape or a city or any other setting that you are trying to portray. So okay, so back to this, I was going to be making kind of like a dark green grass because my area here is going to be kind of like a grassy sort of hill in the outdoors. And so I'm going to take that kind of shape and fill it in with my paint bucket. Behind that, I'll also draw another shape of some darker trees, and to kind of show space, I'm going to draw them in a darker green color. And kind of just make them go through the background like that. Alright, and I will fill that in as well with my paint bucket. Actually, I'm going to take the eyedropper tool and paint over that line that I made right there. So I'm going to make this brush a little bit bigger. Something to notice is when you jump in words and you use your brush, it'll stay the same size. So that's an interesting feature of Flash. So zooming in, my brush maintains its size. So if I really want this brush to be bigger, I'll zoom further out, and now my brush is bigger. Whereas if I zoom in, you can really do a much better job of getting details in when you are using kind of you're really zoomed in on your subject. Okay, so with this part as well, I'm just going to change the colors really, just like I did with the background, although I want this to be on its own layer so that it's separate and it's in front. So on this layer again, I'm going to create a new keyframe, F6, and since this is night and then here we have day, I'm going to turn down these colors a little bit, make them a little bit lighter. So I'll take this green of the grass and I'll push it upwards so it's more of a light green, and this darker green that's in the back kind of trees, I'll push just a little bit lighter. I don't want it to get too funny though. It looks almost too bluish. So I'm going to turn it down a little bit there. That works pretty good. So again, I will go back. I will add a shape tween, same way as you guys have here. And now we have a scene going from night to day. I'll go back here, press F6, add a new keyframe in, and then go ahead and copy that first frame, click over to the 30th frame and paste it, and then we are going to create a new shape tween. So you should have this kind of pattern going on in your timeline, 3 layers, and then you're basically at the point to decide what you want to add to your scene. In mine, I had added this werewolf, and so on this layer you can see I added a fourth layer, called it Morph, and basically on this first frame I did a live tracing of a werewolf, and so I have a werewolf here, and then he transforms into a human character here that I drew pretty quickly. Kind of reminds me of a Canadian from South Park, but yeah, so you'll get the idea basically there, and then changing back into a werewolf in the second tween. So have fun, be creative, and add whatever you would like to add morphing into your scene. All right.